18, 15. Like, I think that, like, you've held on to the speed more than you think that you have, at least that long speed. I think that the mile, you'd have to do more mile intervals to get close to that.
Yeah. But I just don't know, like, yeah, we're going to learn.
That's the thing is, like, so if my VO2 max being higher than, like, yours, at my body weight being heavier than yours, I'm technically slower.
Yeah.
As a person, it's just the way that it works out. But I have more muscle and I have more body to deal with the oxygen uptake, so that
Says he has more muscle than me.
I know, that's what I heard.
no, it's not, definitely not more muscle, it's just more body size.
What are we going to do?
We're going to do a VO2 test, and we're going to do a resting metabolic rate test.
For
Just like kind of getting baselines for the season. Will help direct our training protocols a little bit more precisely, at least the VO2, and then the resting metabolic rate will be useful for my nutritionist, just to dial in calorie intake.
Sweet.
Just kind of like doing this stuff a couple times a season and just keeps you on the right path. Some days, like, it was all over the place. Cape bias, I think, but I don't remember, I just said both.
You guys, just kind of a dry run through the process here, and then,
Can I leave myself?
yeah, absolutely. We had most of our morning ones canceled today.
Oh, yeah, because
It's so funny.
not us.
So, essentially what we'll do first, we'll take you back, we'll get just a basic height and weight on you here in the bod pod room, and then we'll walk down to the resting metabolic room over here. Resting metabolic, I'll warn you, is not the most video friendly test, right? It's just, basically hanging out, relaxing and breathing, but I will ask you a few questions. We'll get you hooked up with the mask and everything there, so that'll give you the turbine there is going to measure oxygen consumption as well as CO2 production during the test. You'll basically be just hanging out here for about 20 to 25 minutes, just totally relax, and I'll be checking on you periodically.
Cool.
Okay? Now, in terms of once we finish this test, we'll have a little bit more paperwork for you to do.
Cool.
Then we'll take you back into this room and we'll do the VO2 testing back in here. So we'll be getting you all set up, warmed up. We'll do a little bit of dynamic warm-up, some dynamic stretching in the hallway. And I'll give you some time between tests too if there's anything you like to do just to prep for a big effort.
Yeah.
And we'll be building intensity on the treadmill when we get through here. So
We're just kind of ramping up for the season, getting started.
what I'll have you do is go ahead and slip your shoes off, and I'm going to grab a height on you here in the hallway. Good. You can go ahead and step on out of there. Good. 5'8" and a half.
There you go, a half.
That's where the shoes come in. At least 6 foot.
All right. If you'll step right in front of that scale, but grab a seat on that comfortable looking chair there.
That's nice. So I'm gonna lay down after the VO2s. Just taking that.
So as far as your routine right now, just have you take me day by day through like what your training schedule looks like, how long the sessions are going, what's the general theme for that session, you know, is it strength training, is it metabolic conditioning, aerobic, whatever it may be. So
Yeah.
I know it could be a little bit, but
Yeah. So probably training from 10 to 2 p.m. and it's a mix of strength training and metabolic conditioning. And then I'll train for another 2 to 3 hours lifting and like more CrossFit based stuff in the AM. Yeah.
how much would you say is that is rest, transition time, mobility work, etc.?
Yeah, I'd say like half.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say. That's all averages, right? But that's a fair amount, I'd say. 6 hours, 7 hours a day.
Yeah, it's hard to dictate like how much time in between because a lot of it's warming up too. So like you're still hitting reps,
Yeah.
Right.
working in like you said mobility work, but it's pretty low intensity. It's like the high intensity stuff's probably 15% of that if you're really considering it.
We're going to go ahead and get you hooked up with the mask. Like I said, you'll have about 20-25 minutes. We like to run the tests a little longer here. I've seen them done, 5-10 minutes, but really it takes longer than that for the data to stabilize. Now, one of the nice things with the newer systems, we do have a full mask now. So whereas it used to be the old nose clip and snorkel tube, trust me when I say this is a lot more comfortable.
Insert
Main, now.
Here's 2. There's 3. And one last one here. How's that feeling so far?
Yeah, that's good.
You do want, of course, a good tight seal, but if you notice it really pressing on your nose, it also sometimes helps if you just reposition it kind of where it feels best on your face. Everybody's anatomy is a little different, but that looks good.
That's good.
I'm going to adjust that one little strap here in just a second before we get you hooked up, but other than that, it looks all good. If you notice, temperature, you feel a little hot or a little cold, let me know. We can adjust that as well. We want you just to be baseline, medium temperature, nice comfortable temp, okay?
Cool.
So I'm curious, you as the coach, what are you going to take from these results?
The big thing that we're trying to do with getting a resting metabolic rate will be more for his nutritionist. So I'm not his direct nutritionist. I'm more his coach for working coach protocols. I would say that I'm not really going to be utilizing that specific data. It is interesting to kind of see where his metabolic rate is, and we've talked about just adjusting how many carbohydrates he has. So as we're doing long endurance sport, if we know that his utilization of carbs is like relatively high, we're going to need to supplement that during workouts in order for him to keep at a high power output when he's maintaining these on an everyday basis. In terms of like we were talking about how much he trains on a day-to-day basis, it does kind of give you a better idea of actually the amount of calories that he's going to need in order to sustain his body weight while still improving all the markers across the board. So if he's underfilled his power output on both our aerobic testing as well as his power output in terms of strength for his squats, snatches, whatever, and be able to keep that up as he's increasing his aerobic capacity as we're going towards also the triathlon training is going to be huge. So working with his nutritionist, that'll actually give him a really clear idea of like where his macros need to be to sustain, because we're actually really not trying with Will to do any type of like cut in terms of body weight or build. Actually, we're really happy with where his body weight is at right now, and what it's trying to do is actually make that optimized.
CrossFit and triathlon are very similar in the sense that they require an athlete's full commitment between the training volume and the demands that has on your lifestyle. I feel like that level of commitment keeps you honest, and there's no cheating the work in these sports. But if you do put in that work, the results can be amazing, and for me personally, just so fulfilling. And I think part of that, adding in this pursuit, is just the curiosity that it sparked in me, and almost lit a new little fire or spark to my training, because it's a new challenge, and I love a challenge. So yeah, this new project has just added to those flames, and that's a good thing, because they both required a tremendous amount of work, and I love to just work. I love to feel myself getting better. I love to drive towards big goals, and this would be just that, a massive goal. And it's pushing the limits of what I'm capable of, and at this point, that's pretty much what gets me up and out the door every morning. I think a lot of athletes have these ideas in their head like, oh, I have to be doing everything else like everyone else is, or I need to be testing things in my competitions testing. But that doesn't really drive me, at least not anymore. These external expectations, they don't really push me anymore. I do it for the challenge, and I do it for the nerves that it gives me, and the limits it takes me to. So finding these limits and seeing if I can push past them, that's what does it for me. I just want to get the most out of myself. And along those lines, I mean, I'm ultimately going to be my biggest critic at the end of the day, so who cares what other people think? I'm the one that has to look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day and ask myself, was that good enough? Did I put in the work necessary to reach my goals?
3 to 4, perfect.
And that's a constant
got here.
that's a constant learning process. It's constantly negotiating with my body and my mind, riding the line between mental and mechanical breakdown. So it's a pretty intense place to live, but I love it there.
Great work, Will. Thumbs up, you got another 30 seconds. Here we go. I'm right here with you. Red button if you need it to stop. Great stride here. Good. 5 seconds left in this stage. Thumbs up, thumbs down. You want another. One more. Here we go. 10.9 and 2. Good. 30 seconds. Still climbing a little bit on the O2. You're doing great. Good. Keep working up on that treadmill. Good. There you go. Come on. Good. Thumbs up, you got another 30. Thumbs down, you don't. Hang on with me. Good. We're going to get you right into it. Cool down. Good. Right here with you. Good. As soon as you can, stabilize here. Hop right back on. Good work. Alright, we're going to get you at a 3.0 and 1. Good. Keep moving. There we go. Perfect. All right, we're right in the cool down phase here. We got a couple recovery phases we're going to hit.